Have you ever noticed that the most toxic person in your office has favorites? Not friends, targets. There are people they sink their teeth into, and there are people they leave completely alone. And it has almost nothing to do with rank or talent or how long someone has been there. The new hire who barely knows where the printer is can be untouchable, while the seasoned veteran, two desks over, gets picked apart for sport. For a long time, you probably told yourself it was luck. Some people just do not get bothered. But it is not luck. The people who never become targets are doing something very specific, and most of the time, they're not even aware they're doing it. The toxic coworker can feel it though. They can feel it the way a con artist feels when a mark is too sharp to fall for the pitch. They do not say anything. They just quietly back off and go find someone easier. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly what those people do, why it works on a psychological level, and how to start doing it yourself so you stop being the easy mark in the room. Quick thing before we dig in. If this is your first time here, I am Dre. On this channel, we talk about the things nobody says out loud at work, but everybody feels. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so the next one actually finds you. Now let us get into it. First, I need you to understand something about how these people choose. A toxic coworker is not really driven by who they hate. They are driven by who is available. Think about a burglar walking down a street at night. They are not looking for the nicest house. They are looking for the open window, the unlocked door, the one with no lights on and no camera by the porch. They walk right past the house with the dog barking and the motion sensor and the neighbor who waves. Not because they respect that house more, but because it is not worth the risk. The toxic person in your office is doing the exact same math every single day on every single person. They are scanning for the open window, and whether they ever target you comes down to one question. Are you an easy entry, or are you a house that is going to be a problem? So let us talk about what makes someone an open window, because once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. The first thing they look for is someone who overshares, someone who tells them everything, who they are scared of, who they are mad at, what their manager said in their last review, how much debt they are in, why they were crying in the parking lot last week. People think sharing builds trust, and with a healthy coworker, it does. But with a toxic one, every detail you hand over is not a connection. It is inventory. They are not listening because they care. They are listening because information is leverage, and you are filling their account one confession at a time. The second thing they look for is someone who runs on emotion, someone who reacts. If they roll their eyes in a meeting and your face goes red, they learned something. If they take a little dig and you fire back, they got exactly what they wanted. Toxic coworkers feed on reactions the way a fire feeds on oxygen. A person who reacts is a person they can steer because now they have a button, and they will press it whenever it serves them. The third thing they look for is someone who is isolated, someone with no real allies. Sometimes they create that isolation on purpose. Psychologists call it triangulation. It is the quiet little comments that keep you separated from everyone else. Just so you know, that team does not really like new people. Between us, I would be careful trusting that guy. Word is, that woman talks. Seeds planted over weeks until you look up one day and realize the only person you really talk to at that office is the very person planting them. And once you are alone, you are easy. Because when they finally turn on you, there is nobody in your corner to say, wait, that is not what happened. The fourth thing they look for is someone whose work lives in the shadows. Someone who does great work quietly and assumes it will speak for itself. It will not. If your contributions only exist in private chats and in your own memory, then someone else can stand in front of them and take the credit, and you will have nothing but your word against theirs. A manipulator loves a person who does the work but never claims it, because that is free credit just sitting there, waiting to be picked up. So that is the open window: oversharing, reacting, isolation, and invisible work. Now here is where it flips. Because the people toxic coworkers genuinely avoid are the people who closed every one of those windows. And I am going to walk you through exactly what they do one by one. Does any of this sound familiar so far? If it does, stay with me, because this next part is where you actually get your power back. Number 1, they keep their cards face down. The person a manipulator fears is friendly but not transparent. They are warm at the coffee machine and pleasant in the hallway, but they do not hand over the keys to their inner life. Ask them how their weekend was, and you get, "It was good, thanks. How was yours?" That is it. No venting. No late confessions about who they cannot stand. They are not cold. They are just not an open book. And you cannot use against someone what they never gave you. The most disarming thing in the world to a manipulator is a person who is genuinely kind and completely unreadable at the same time. Number 2, they put things in writing. The person a manipulator fears leaves a paper trail without making a big deal about it. After an important conversation, they send a short, friendly recap. "Just following up from our chat. I will be moving forward on the project the way we discussed today. Thanks." 2 sentences, time-stamped, calm. And just like that, history cannot be rewritten because there is a record that does not depend on anyone's memory. This is not paranoia, and it is not about building a case against a person. It is simply refusing to let your version of events be the only one that lives in your own head. And one honest note here, because this channel covers real workplace situations. The way documentation and HR are handled varies a lot by company and by where you live, and none of this is legal advice. If something crosses into harassment or retaliation, talk to a professional who can look at your specific situation. But as a baseline habit, a written record protects calm, reasonable people far more often than it protects the manipulator. Number 3, they stay calm when poked. The person a manipulator fears does not hand over their reactions for free. When they get cut off in a meeting, they wait, and then they finish their point in the exact same even tone. When they catch the eye roll, they do not flinch. They have trained themselves to pause in that half second between the trigger and the response and ask, what did they actually do? What did it make me feel? And do I want to let that feeling pick my next move? That pause is everything, because a toxic coworker who cannot get a rise out of you has lost their only real weapon. Think about it from their side for a second. They poke, and they watch your face, waiting for the flicker, the tightening, the proof that it landed. When that flicker never comes, they are left standing there with nothing. No payoff, no control. Just a person who heard the comment, registered it, and kept moving like it was weather. You become exhausting to target, and exhausting targets get left alone. Number 4, they build a wide circle on purpose. The person a manipulator fears cannot be isolated because they have relationships in every direction. They eat lunch with different people. They collaborate across teams. They are known and liked by more than one little corner of the building. This is not about campaigning against anyone. It is about making sure your reputation exists in more than one person's mouth. When you have a wide circle, no single individual gets to be the narrator of who you are. And the moment a manipulator realizes they do not control your story, you stop being worth the effort. Number 5, they make their own work visible. The person a manipulator fears takes quiet credit in the open as a matter of routine. They copy their manager on the key update. They volunteer to present their own results instead of letting someone else carry the slide. They post the progress in the shared channel, not just the private message. None of this is bragging. It is light. And a wolf in sheep's clothing only has power in the dark. The more light you put on what you actually did, the less room there is for anyone to step in front of it. And number 6, the one that scares them the most. The person a manipulator fears will calmly name the behavior in the moment, without drama. Not an explosion, not an accusation. Just a quiet, neutral observation that lets the other person know they were seen. Something like, "I noticed I got cut off there. Let me finish my thought." Or, "I want to make sure we are clear that this was my idea from Tuesday." Said evenly, with no heat, in front of other people. Manipulators run on plausible deniability. They depend on you being too polite or too unsure to say anything. The person who can name the move gently in real time takes that whole game away. There is nothing to deny when you simply describe what just happened and move on. So that is the full picture. Cards face down, things in writing, calm under pressure, a wide circle, visible work, and the quiet willingness to name what is happening. None of these require you to be aggressive. None of them require you to become the very thing you are trying to protect yourself from. They just close the windows one by one until you are no longer worth the break-in. Now, one hard truth before we close. Sometimes it is not just the person. Sometimes the system itself rewards them. If you do all of this, you keep your cards close, you document, you stay calm, you build allies, you make your work visible, you name the behavior, and you still keep getting punished for it, then you are not just dealing with a toxic coworker. You are dealing with a culture that protects them. And in that case, winning does not look like fixing that person. It looks like quietly building enough leverage and enough options to walk into a healthier place on your own terms. And one more thing worth saying honestly. If every job you have ever had has felt toxic, if every coworker has somehow ended up against you, it is worth gently asking yourself what you might be carrying into these rooms. Not as blame, as power. Because if even a small piece of it is something you can influence from your side, then working on that gives you more control no matter where you end up next. You deserve a workplace where your work speaks for itself, where your name stays attached to your ideas, where you are not scanning the room for subtle eye rolls and missing replies. Until you are there, use what you learned today and stop being the open window. The people toxic coworkers fear are not louder or meaner or more powerful. They are just harder to use. And now you know exactly how to become one of them. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 6 is the one you need to work on most? Be honest. And if this made you think of someone who is being targeted right now, send it to them today, not later. Because this is the conversation nobody has with you until the damage is already done. In the next video, I am going to break down the exact phrases you can use to shut a manipulator down in the moment without ever losing your cool. So make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. I am Dre. I will see you in the next one.